Welcome to the Graybeard Chronicles podcast. Your hosts, Brian Halstead and Kevin Harkins, are two gray-bearded patriots who love God, their family and friends, and their country. The Graybeards are here to inspire, inform, and educate you on a myriad of topics they are passionate about. Brian and Kevin have a strong desire to share this with you to help you live your best life. Sit back and enjoy this amazing podcast as the Graybeards pass along the wisdom of the ages.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. I'm Brian Halstead.
And I'm Kevin Harkins.
And Kevin, we're here to pass along some wisdom of the ages. What the heck does that mean?
We're not perfect, but we do have gray beards, and that means we've got some significant life experience, some life lessons, and some perspectives that are worthy of passing along.
Well, I think that sums it up nicely. Let's get to it. Kevin, good evening. What's going on?
Good evening, Brian. I'm doing well.
Very good.
I never get tired of the let's get to it.
I know.
I love that.
And you always point that out. You're like, let's get to it. I think it's good.
I'm ready to go out and play the game every time I hear that.
That's right.
Let's get to it.
Yeah. No, I'm not going to say what I was saying.
Don't. I'm feeling good, feeling strong. I am particularly happy about the incredible audience that we had a week ago. Was it not a week ago?
Tomorrow.
A week ago tomorrow. Yeah.
Your second anniversary.
Second anniversary.
Yeah.
That's right. That's right. And it was right here, different room, same general location at the brewery, 6 Bears and a Goat.
Yeah, it was outstanding. Appreciate everybody that showed up.
Indeed.
It's always better when you have an event and you want to have a live audience if the live audience shows up. Yeah, so that was cool. Fun experience. We should do it again.
And we have another.
Well, that happened to me in college a lot. We'd always have parties and then no one would show up. So we had lots of leftovers, but we took care of them.
Yes, that's one of the things you didn't have to worry about much in college. The problem was never having leftovers.
Yeah,
usually, at least in my experience.
Yeah. So before we keep chatting here, folks that are now even folks that are just listening to the audio know that we are not alone.
Right.
There is someone else in the room with us tonight. So I think you need to let them know who that is.
Okay. We have a smaller live audience. Our live audience is actually a guest in the house. We are thrilled to have him. We are honored to have him, Mr. John Holden. John, welcome.
Thank you, Kevin.
Yeah.
Brian, I'm glad to be here.
Yeah. Let me tell them a little bit about you.
Please do.
And then we'll get going. So John is the director.
Tell them the good stuff.
I will. All of the stuff that all of the additional stuff I'll hold off on. Director of Economic Development and Tourism for Stafford County, Virginia. Some of you, I know, are listening very remotely, and Stafford County is in Virginia. It's right snuggled up next to Fredericksburg City County. It's part of the Fredericksburg Regional Alliance. And John came down to us, how long has it been? About 3 years ago?
38 months.
38 months.
Right.
But who's counting?
Yeah.
Apparently John is.
From the state of Maine, the state of Virginia stole John from all the good things he was doing up in the state of Maine. He came down here, and I actually met John the first time when he had been in town, I think, one night or 2 nights, and he stopped by the brewery to have a beer. And I saw him sitting over in the corner, and I decided,
with all my friends?
With all his friends. And
there's a lonely-looking guy. Looks like he needed a friend.
There's a new face in town that I haven't seen here before, so I'm gonna go say howdy. Yeah. And we were off and running. So the reason that I wanted to have John on, and I'll just start out with this, is I've had the opportunity to observe him in his role as the Director of Economic Development and Tourism for Stafford County for now over 2 years. And he's one of these guys that just gets stuff done. And that's cool. So I thought, that fits with our theme of what we're up to here about talking to people about things that they are very good at, very successful at. John falls into that category. So welcome, John. Thrilled you're here. And yeah, thanks for doing what you're doing.
Well, thank you. And it's been a ride so far, a great ride. And I'll never forget meeting you the first time, and then we got to chat a little more, and then got to know each other personally on the golf course. Had plenty of experiences out there that we shouldn't talk about because it's pretty ugly.
No,
but
only every once in a while.
Yeah, I mean, golf's a great thing to learn from as well. So
Yes, it is.
the thing about golf, you learn if you played as long as I have, which is going on 40-some years. I'm no better than I was 40 years ago, but you just keep going, and there's going to be times where it gets pretty bad, like real bad, and I could throw in another adjective, I suppose, but you just keep going, and it gets a little better, right? And as long as you're having fun, right? At the end of the day, you got to have fun, right?
Yeah, they say you always have that one shot that keeps you coming back, right?
All right,
It's the whole experience.
Out of the 110 that
Right.
you don't.
Yeah, exactly.
I'll just tell one golf story.
I know the one
Ju-
you're going to tell. No? All right.
Maybe, I don't know. No, so Brian and I have played golf as well, and he's pretty good. He's pretty good, not bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, the thing about John
That's not consistent with other stories you've told.
I'm being nice.
You're undermining your credibility there, buddy.
So John can hit the ball a mile. So he hits the ball, and I would say half the time you're somewhere in the vicinity of the fairway, right? But the thing is, when he gets in the fairway and he gets up close to the green, I'm like, wow, that was an awesome shot. And and his response to me was, if he's anywhere within 100 yards of the green, his comment is always the same: you got me right where you want me.
Right.
Because his short game from that point in can leave some things to be desired.
Yes, it does.
All right, I'm intrigued now. We're gonna have to go play golf because
yeah.
I think there's somebody I can compete with.
Yes, yes.
I often say that, say the hole's 450 yards. It takes me, one shot to go 200 and 210, and then 8 more to go the balance of the 200. So
Yeah. Well, I believe in getting a return on my investment. If I'm going to pay to play, I don't want to have it done in a couple hours. I want to make this last for like 4 or 5 hours.
Right.
But you just keep going through it, And if you love the game and love being outdoors, which I do, even though I'm not good, you have those moments, those horrible moments, but you know that there's going to be some good ones coming, right? You just keep powering through, and you get to the next tee box, and you have a refreshment. Maybe not what's in here, but and you keep going, right? And you have fun.
Huh. All right, refreshments on the golf course.
I haven't heard of that.
Can't really
Never
relate to that.
happened.
Yeah. Just kidding. Yeah. So, all right. Here's I'm going to start out with this first question. Cycling back to economic development. One of the things that struck me about you, observing you do your job, is that it became very clear to me in the early stages of your arrival that you were pushing. You had a vision. You had a vision about what you wanted to do within the county, and it was noteworthy to me to see that, just because I've seen, just other people in all kinds of different places where they're just kind of going every day and do their job, and they're not really heading in a direction that is noticeable. They're just doing their jobs. You're different. You stand out that way. So tell us a little bit about what you think about that.
Like I said, just using the golf analogy again, if you don't like what you're doing, stop. Right? Do something different. I used to say that when we used to take the children camping. I had one child. I still do, but when we go camping, it's like no one's having fun. It's raining. The Hannah's crying. Well, let's stop. Put everything in the truck and go home. Right? Let's stop. It's not. Some people are like, well, we're camping. We have to keep camping. Like, no, we're not having fun, right? So the point of all that is you got to have everyone in life. You got to find where your passion is, and passion is. I'll get back to vision.
Yeah. Oh yeah, I'm sure.
And I found, that I love doing this work, right? And it's not like I rose my hand in second grade. I want to be an economic developer. I mean, who does that? Who knows what it is we do, right?
I mean, no.
That's part of the issue.
Right,
and
right. I'm hoping to learn that tonight.
Yeah, maybe we'll talk about that. So, but anyway, I love what I do, and I tell my band, not a team, we're a band. We can get into that too. There's a difference. That you got to enjoy what you're doing when you're at work. Hopefully, work is more than just a job, right? It's something you're passionate about, something you love to do, and you're with people you enjoy doing it with. You don't have to be best friends, because as Americans, generally, we spend close to 50%, maybe more, of our time that we're awake at work. So you better enjoy it, right?
Right.
You better like what you do, right?
Absolutely.
So so that's number one, is I discovered, just by stumbling into this career, that I really enjoyed it, right? I really loved it, and I was passionate about it, and we can get into more of that. So coming down here, first of all, it was a great opportunity, great community, warmer weather, and there was some plans and visions, if you will, or more strategies in place, and I'm like, oh yeah, let's just do it, right? And it's really, I don't want to downplay what I do, but it's not that complicated, right? And some people overcomplicate things, right? And at the end of the day, you just got to put the pieces together to get things done, right? And I think that's where I say where my talents are, is putting those pieces together, the puzzle, right? Vision is inspirational, right? So every community in the world has an economic development strategy and this and that, but that's the strategy, that's the plan. The vision has to be a little more inspirational, and that's part of the one or two things that this, if I were to boil this job down, it's about is what I call the message, right? And the message leads towards that vision, right? So when we got here and I met you and we did a lob talk, it's like, yeah, let's talk about the vision, right? Because that's inspirational, and that gets people to where they want to go, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I love that. There's I don't know if you were getting ready to say something, Bryant, but my wheels are spinning, and
I can smell the smoke.
Okay. So there's a quote that says, "Where there's no vision, the people perish." It's actually a verse from the Proverbs in the Bible, but it applies to life in general. And that's when you said it has to be inspirational. Vision gives somebody something to strive for, and so you bring that, and that's a good lesson for all of us in our lives. Is if we don't have a vision of where we're going, we just drift, right? We're just drifting through life, and putting the pieces of the puzzle together and taking action. But I'm going to hold off on my other question until later, because I thought it was a really good quote. But Bryant, were you going to say something, or
Yeah. So back to an earlier comment that you made, John, and I saw this on the county website today, and you called out that you consider the folks that you work with the band, and I saw that on the website, and I thought, well, that's interesting. I want to know more about the thoughts behind that. And it makes sense to me, but I want to hear your thoughts and reasoning behind that.
Yeah. So first of all, I think the word team is overused. It's become overused. It's a good word. I don't mean anything against it. I'm not criticizing people that use it, but I was walking around one day. I go home and I walk my dog and I think, and I was like, man, what aren't we? Well, teams compete, first of all, right? And I thought,
right.
We all compete in some way. Economic development's competing, but we'll get into this a little bit. Economic development's really the common phrase in the industry is it's a team sport, because it takes a lot of people to put all these things together, public and private. So I started thinking about that, and I thought, well, maybe we're a crew. But then I thought, well, crews have nothing against the Coast Guard, but they're on a ship, usually going in one direction, right?
Right. Oh man.
So and nothing. That's cool.
All right.
But a cruise in what are those boats? They're all rowing in the same direction. Well, in our work, sometimes you have to shift, right? You have to go different directions. So I'm like, oh man. And I thought, band. Well, bands. I mean, what do bands do? Good bands make great music, and they do it. I've had the experience of being able to be with groups to put on big festivals, and I got a chance to meet people, musicians from all kinds of walks of life that play all kinds of types of music. And some of the funnest things was watching, the Zydeco player with the throat singer get together and exchange their instruments and play each other's music and make music, right? They had never met each other in their lives, right? But they made music. So the idea of the band was everyone has their certain talents and abilities, but until you get together, you make great music. Now, it's not an orchestra, because an orchestra has the guy up front or the woman up front, doing this thing, right? And kind of leading them. And I didn't want to be that. I wanted to be part of the band. Mostly I'm the lead singer, but every once in a while, someone on the band might come up and do lead singing, and I'll step back and do the tambourine, right? So that's my analogy of the band, right?
That's
all
cool.
Different
I like
individuals with talents making great music.
Yeah, no, I like that a lot. I think that it certainly creates a whole different mindset when you're a part of that band versus being on a team. Yeah, that's very cool. I'm not sure I don't think I've ever heard anybody describe it quite like that. So that's cool.
And you think of some of the great bands in our generation, anyways. Sometimes people come and go from the band, but the band lives on, right?
Right.
The band's music lives on. So that's the
band. It might change slightly, take on a different flavor, but that's okay. That's good because it's important in that setting to allow the people to have that autonomy to show their own individual strengths and so on. So that's cool.
I mean, how many name changes did Jefferson Airplane go through?
Oh, I don't know.
Too many.
That might be before my time.
The reason that I know Brian likes this topic about bands, first of all, let me back up. I love the analogy. I've actually never heard that before until tonight. I haven't. So I don't know where you got that or if you came up with it, but it's great. I can just a band, different instruments, people have different roles, but they're all working together. They make beautiful music. But Bryant was telling me a couple months ago about his favorite band, Bread. Bread from they were pretty good back in the
Kevin's just trying to recenter and get his ship back on track after John started talking crap about the Coast Guard. And John didn't really talk crap about the Coast Guard, but he started to, and Kevin was like getting uneasy in his seat. So now he's trying to just get stable again and take a couple jabs at me.
Wasn't Bread's a big hit? The song called "If."
Man, I have heard of Bread, and that's about it. I couldn't tell you anything that they sang.
Katy Perry, that's the other one you like?
No,
right.
I don't. I'm not big on her music, but I do like me some Katy Perry. I mean, she's pretty easy on the eyes.
All right, there you go.
I mean,
there you go.
Yeah, you didn't think it was going to go that direction, did you?
I did not.
Well, careful.
I asked for it.
Back to the Coast Guard.
I opened the door. Right.
But anyway, so our group. I was going to say my group. It's really our group. We're a band, and that's something. Actually, it's of all the LinkedIn posts I've put out there, which I share a lot of things and all that. It had the most likes of any LinkedIn post I've ever had.
Wow.
When I explained that.
Okay.
Yeah. No doubt. Again, like Kevin said, first time I've ever heard it. Explained quite like that and used that terminology. So yeah, that's cool.
May we use that? May I?
Do.
Okay.
I want to be a trendsetter. I've come here to be a trendsetter.
Yeah. Yes, you did. I'm gonna really put you on the spot here.
Right.
This is gonna be out there forever.
Uh-oh.
What is the name of your band? That's what I want to know. If you had to.
Well, we don't. I never thought of it. We really don't have one other than the boring economic development tourism.
All right.
So we'll have to give that some thought.
Boring economic development tourism.
I mean, as a name, it's not
Bed
boring.
tea. Bed tea.
Yeah.
I was trying to come up with something.
Yeah.
All right.
No.
Yeah.
All right.
It's going to have a name now, though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll come up with that.
That's cool.
All right.
Very good.
Yeah.
I like it.
So, that's I don't know where we got with that, but I guess part of it is, in what I do and what I've done, it's about working with people to get to where they want to go, right? Whether it be a board of directors or an organization or a community, right? That's really what community economic development is around. It's about, the community, the business community, the citizens should set the vision, the goals of the community. You can help them organize those things, but at the end of the day, it's groups like us that help try to get there, right? And you do that with all kinds of players, as I was saying earlier. It's a team sport. We've done a lot of success in the last 3 years, but I can't tell you how many other people we get into boring, stuff about it. But
right.
There's a lot of different pieces that come together to help a business grow or to start a new program or what have you.
All right. So there's a question I just thought of. Thinking of moving away from the specifics of your job for a minute and just getting to, you're obviously a successful person. You've done it in a variety of different locations. The fact that you are where you are didn't happen by accident. You had to work your way up to it. What is it? And I asked this question with our audience in mind, who I love, and the questions that we get from them. But when you think about what is it that makes people like you successful, if you had to sort of boil it down to, where did you get this?
Yep.
And what is it that has caused you to sort of, over a period of time where, you said when you were young, you didn't say, I want to be economic development,
Yeah.
but you wanted to be something, or somehow you grew into that. Where does that come from? How does that happen in your view?
Well, my for the record and for the public, my worst class in college was economics. But then I went and got a master's degree in regional economics. So it's not about the science and the math. That's important.
Okay.
It's about listening to people that are trying to do things together, whether it be a community or a board of directors or a group of businesses, and saying, okay, how do we get those together? And I was talking about the puzzle, right? So here's all the puzzles pieces, right? You got to put it together to get to that place, right?
Right.
I think I've shared this with you, Kevin, but the TV show Survivor, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, when I first watched that in season 1, I was like, that's what I do. Because you got I forget the numbers. You got 12 people, all with their own individual goals, right, to win.
Right.
But they have to work together for most of the time to get to that point to win. And that's what community economic development is about, right? It's whether it's the political side or the business side, everyone's got to work together to get that place, recognizing mutual benefit.
Yeah, but
So I found that as I was learning this, I literally was put in a situation to learn it. I learned it on the job.
okay.
And I was like, oh, all right. One of my first, professional meetings was in a group of 6 people wanting to do something together for the county I was in, and I'm like, I don't know, but I just listened to all of them and like, okay, I can do this. I want us to see it. I want us to do this.
Right.
I want us to do that. And I'm like, okay, how do I get all these pieces together and find money and all that kind of stuff to do it? And I learned on the job, quite frankly.
Right. Okay. And there's a lot of people who want to learn on the job, but a lot of people aren't successful doing it, or they don't have the drive to do it, so there's something under all of that. You see what I'm
Gotcha.
I'm
Yeah.
trying to peel the
Yeah.
layers of the
So-
onion back a little bit.
I'm an empath, so I try to.
I'm sorry.
I try to please.
What was that?
Empath. I try to please
Got
everyone
it.
in the room.
Got
right?
it. Okay.
So I'm looking for the way to please everyone in the room,
Right.
where maybe people that aren't quite as successful at what I do are like, we got to go do this, right? We got to only do this,
Right.
and to heck with the 7 others that want this other thing, right?
Okay.
So it's about finding at least where everyone can agree to disagree, at the worst, but also what will benefit everyone.
Okay. Can you describe empath? That probably could fit somewhere exactly right into the Myers-Briggs, right, and all
Yeah,
that stuff.
I'm sure.
Yeah.
But what is that? And just for those who don't
So,
specifically know, when you say I'm an empath,
Well, like my definition, I think it's somewhat close, is you have more feelings for other people than yourself.
okay,
I mean, from a psychological, that's not a good thing to have standpoint,
Right.
but that's what it means. You're trying to please others before you please yourself.
I think that's cool. And the thing that's really cool about it is you know that about yourself.
Yeah, that's an interesting discussion too, right? So how does that? Is it the desire to please other people before you please yourself, or how do you pick up on that? So is it a high level of emotional intelligence, or a combination thereof?
Well, we've all had our own personal life experience as well, and I didn't know that about myself for a long time until I had to go through some rough times and learn that about myself with professionals. And I'm like, oh, it's one of those moments where the light went off. And
Right.
Oh, that makes sense, and that's why I like what I do, and that's why I'm maybe successful at what I do, is because that's the way I think. It's what drives me, right? So I'd like to say I intentionally went out and found that out by myself, but I didn't, right? I don't think many people do, but maybe that's a wise thing to do, whether it's Myers-Briggs or whoever, right? A lot of it's really discovering what drives you, so you can do what you want to do as well as you can.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's a great lesson for folks to really pay attention to. And a lot of things don't come to you until you've been in the arena Brian and I have actually had an entire podcast on that topic.
Absolutely.
Where you put yourself out there in the arena fighting the fight, and you don't know where your weaknesses are. You think, I got this right hook that'll knock them out every time, and before you can swing it, they hit you with their left uppercut, and you're on the. That's a great metaphor. It's pretty good, yeah.
I'm about to take us off track, but I can't help it. Just based on what you just said, I intended to have this conversation with you the other day, not when we were recording because it hadn't happened yet. But what happened to your boy Connor the other night, man? That was pretty horrific.
You know what? Yeah, this is a diversion. We're talking about Conor McGregor. I think he's done.
Yeah,
I think that. Just my own personal opinion. I love the guy and and the success that he's had, but there's a couple times the threshold for him is way out there, and he even crossed that. He did a couple things, said a couple things, just got a little bit too high on his horse, and he got humiliated.
Yeah. In
a way that it's just.
I wonder how much of that is authentic, or how much of it is showmanship, and he's just trying to get ratings, trying to get people interested by creating the controversy and so on, and being really out there. I mean, I don't know what he's like in his everyday life. I think he's a successful business person, and if he never fights again, I think he'll still be fine. But that was hard to watch.
It was hard to watch, but let me tie it back, and John, and then I'll go. All right, go ahead.
So you were saying about putting yourself out there,
right?
It's related to this. Although I've never watched it, I would know of it. Being a businessman and knowing the market, right?
Right.
So I'm an introvert. People don't believe that when I'm on doing these things or doing a lot of that. I once gave a presentation and I said that, and my colleague, good friend, came up to me and said, "You are such a liar. You're not an introvert."
Right.
Well, actually, I am. Like tonight, I'll go home and I'll just have to be by myself for a while, right? To deal with this, but
right,
especially between you two.
That's right.
One of my first trade
it was
shows,
traumatizing for him.
One of my first trade shows, and we go to these things and try to talk to business people about doing business in this place that I'm working for, and it was horrible. Sweat was just pouring out my eyes. I mean, it was just horrible, soaking wet. First day, and I was like, man, that's crazy. But I had to do it for 2 more days. So talking about putting yourself out there, I said, okay, well, what do I like to do? And I did a lot of stage acting when I was younger, and I was like, well, let me just act like I'm someone else. And I learned. I watched the others, and I said, okay, I'm pick up a piece of this character, that character, and I put another persona in front of myself, and just like McGregor, right? That's part of the business, right?
Yeah.
You've got to be able to get out there, right, and do that. And like I said, you just have to kind of make those steps when you're finding what you're doing in life.
I like it. Yeah, I think it's a great parallel, absolutely. And the only thing I was going to add to it was he's out there and he pushes the envelope for sure. But part of it is because he has this unwavering belief in himself, and I think that's valuable. I think more people need that. More people suffer from. Another topic that we did on the podcast, the imposter syndrome, where you don't think you belong there. You're just waiting for people to really figure you out, and once they do, you're gone. And in most cases, that's not true at all. McGregor and other people like him, they have a lot of confidence in themselves, and sometimes, many times, even it comes across as arrogance. But the thing is, people get shit done when they're like that, honestly. Yeah. They're and there's something to be said for that. You're a confident person. You are. It doesn't come across in an offensive or an arrogant way.
There's confidence and then there's arrogance, right? There's a line there. There's a gray area, right, where we've all met people that you're like, oh, you're full of yourself, right?
Right.
It's a confidence that you have in your abilities of who you are and what you've done. I mean, I've done it for 25 years now or more. So there's that, and it's about just that's experience, right? I mean, when I first started doing it, I wasn't nearly as confident as I am now, but that's what comes with sticking with something you like, right?
Right. So interesting, your transition to coming down to Stafford, right? So I want to explore that a little bit, right? So Kevin mentioned imposter syndrome, and it's a challenging phenomenon out there, right? That people really deal with. And after we did that podcast, I got feedback from folks that I would have had no idea had struggled with that themselves. And so not saying that you've had that issue, and at the same time taking a big move like that, right? So coming into a completely brand new community, I could see that there could be a potential for that. And just like to hear you kind of explain what that experience was like coming into Stafford and so on.
Well, it was a personal, professional move. Won't get into the personal stuff, but the professional side, it was like I was dabbling in some things, and someone called me. I'm like, okay, what do you want to talk to me for? So that was nice, right? So confidence, and then you come down a couple times and you meet people, and it went quite well, obviously, or at least so far. But there was in what I do, particularly knowing about meeting people and businesses and community, it takes time, right? And I've still got a lot more to do, especially statewide, right?
Right.
Because a big part of what I do is about the network of people, not the electronic network, the networking and getting to know people and getting to know this person does that well and this person does that well and this is their interests, right? Just that, like I was talking about earlier.
Right.
So that was my county administrator, they knew that, right? They knew it takes time, right? So that was at least the first 6 months, but in this business too, you can't just sit around doing nothing either, right? So there was a lot of that and a lot of learning about who does what in the areas, and finding out those business leaders, community leaders, getting to know them a little bit more, and sharing with them who I am, so that there's a trust factor, which is also an important part of what we do. So
right.
It was I wasn't a young person. It was only 3 years ago, so it was a big step, and I'm glad I did it, and I think it's turning out well so far.
Very cool.
Yeah. It was, first of all, you've heard the saying, we don't shovel sunshine, right? So I was looking forward to that, right? 'Cause
right.
I had plenty of other white stuff to shovel, so I was kind of done with that. But it's been a great time. Lots of challenges, which is good, and meeting some great people too.
Lots more good lessons in there. We're talking about paying attention. So there's other things that I'm just, as I replay what you said, you're paying attention to what's going on around you. That's the empath in you, right? So folks know that you are, and it's good. It's a good idea to pay close attention. But putting the pieces of the puzzle together and then taking the action to do it, I love all of that stuff. I want to change it up just a little bit here, and the reason for that is I love when I observe successful people, I very often want to study them. What is it about them that makes them successful? What is it, both what do they have collectively that a lot of successful people have, but also what's unique about them? And so the thing in particular that I like to dig into is habits. I'm a big fan of habits ultimately lead to your destiny if you are consistent with them over time. And Brian's heard me say many, many times this issue called the compound effect, where if you keep good habits and you invest in those habits time after time after time, they start to compound themselves, and they either make you incredibly successful or you crash and burn hard. One where, depending again what the habits are. So tell us about your habit. Do you have some habits that you think are particularly good and useful that people could benefit from, that make you, maybe I don't know, just whatever, anything.
Yeah, so a couple, I guess, come to mind. First off, there's always that time of the day for me. It's morning and that cup of coffee, right? To just not so much think about the day and I gotta get this done, that done, but just kind of sit back and say, wow, okay, what's going on in the world? How's life? Just yourself, and whether it's that for you or tea or whatever. But there's that. So I have that
tea
time. No, I don't do tea, but
tea.
Whatever. I'm just.
This is America.
Yeah. Black coffee.
There we go.
Right.
There we go.
On the weekend, it might be mixed with something, but that's okay.
Right. Right.
Nice.
So there's that habit, right? But again, this is part of, I guess, just the way I've learned to do what I do. So it's a habit in the work environment. Is being able to get the multiple balls up in the air and keeping them balanced, right? Because in our work, there's so many ways you can go, right? And that's probably true in business and life as well. But being able to balance those balls all the time, with obviously a band or a team that you were working with or others, but there's not a how do I say this? I'll say it this way: there's not a bad idea. When I came down here, I said, "What's the next big idea?" And we all talked about our big ideas in the band, right? And what are the big ideas, right? And okay, well, how would we do that, right? How would we make that idea into action, right? So there's always you've heard me speak about innovation and creativity, right? So I'm always seeking a new way to do things better and differently, more efficiently, whether it be internally, in the office or some sort of program. So, and I take that at heart myself in my private time, right? If I apply that to my personal life, I'm like, okay, what am I going to do different this weekend? Or on vacation, where do I go different, right? And how do I apply that to my own personal life, right? It's not as easy because that's more relaxing time and that kind of thing, but it's thinking of new ways to do things or being creative about something.
So it's the quiet time, the quiet personal time in the morning. First thing is when you're going through this, and that habit just helps you sort of stay settled and sort it all out.
Yeah, and scientifically, people are more creative when they're active or walking. And so I was telling you about the idea of the band happened on a walk.
Wait, what?
So when you're walking, you're there's, I don't know, I've read this once. There's science that you actually whatever in your brain it spurs creativity, right? So it's one of the best time to think of new ideas is when you're walking. And we've had staff outings, and I said, okay, now everybody go for a walk, right? Because it's true, it's happened to me, right? I think of things that are different while I'm walking, right? Now if you're like me, you have to.
I'll be back.
You have to write them down.
I'm gonna go for a walk real quick. I'm gonna come back with some even better questions.
If you're like me, you have to write them down so you don't forget them 5 minutes later. But there is that. So there's the quiet time, but also the creativity, i.e., walking time.
That's very cool.
I might establish a new habit here.
Yeah, that's for me, it's showers, right? So I always think I have these like brilliant ideas in the shower. Don't go anywhere bad with that.
You
Kevin.
You sing while you're doing it?
No, I don't sing in the shower.
Yeah. Tell us about your shower
probably
time.
shouldn't even open that door for you, Kevin.
I think you brought it up.
Yeah, I'm rethinking that.
You said
no,
you had
I don't
to
know
be
what it is.
active in the shower.
I think it's just the state of relaxation that you're in, and especially if it's that first of the day, morning shower, waking you up and so on. Yeah,
How many showers you take a day?
It depends on what I'm doing, right? So take a shower first thing in the morning and get ready for the day, and then you might hit the gym later and get all sweaty and nasty. It all depends. Sometimes
I should try
multiple.
that. I should try that. I usually do 1 or 2 a week, but that's another story.
Ah,
Just kidding.
that filled in a couple of blanks for me.
Goodness. I'm sorry.
Kevin's like, where is this
So
going?
that's some of my habits. Is
I like that. I like the
go
walking
for walks,
idea. That's cool.
And the quiet time, coffee time, as I call it. So.
I am going to try the walking thing. I'm trying to think. Yeah, I'm just trying to think when I'm creative. I like the mornings. I'm like you. I'm an early riser and I get a lot done and I do a lot of thinking. But I'm typically not very active.
That's more of a brain. What's going on? What do I do next? What's coming up? Right.
But the creativity part.
Time is you have to step away, and there is some evidence that physical, not like running or anything, but I don't do that anyways. Will spur that creativity.
Yeah, that's interesting. So here's I'm gonna put another little seed in your brain, Kevin.
Yep.
So we may have talked about this before, but there's actually a term for smoking a pipe while walking, right? Have we had this conversation before?
No, we haven't.
It's a thing. It's called lunting, I believe is the terminology. So there you go. Take a pipe, go for a walk. You're going to spark all kinds of new creative ideas. Lunting.
Dang, there's another new habit. So I'll just go for I can't smoke a pipe in the morning early. I could. I know you can. You can smoke a pipe anytime.
Oh, man. There's nothing like a good, strong black cup of coffee and some, nice pipe in the morning.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
I'm thinking I need to go have one right now.
I will try that. But I'll do a walk in the morning, and I'll do a pipe at night. And maybe I'm going to try lunting. I should look that up. I won't do it.
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. Lunting.
Right.
Yep. Walking. Is it wilts? What's the right? There's an English term that goes with that. I don't know if it's like walking whilst smoking a pipe.
Whilst.
Is it whilst?
Whilst.
Yeah. See, you know what I was trying to say.
Right.
Whilst. Yeah.
Walking whilst
smoking
lunting.
a pipe.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Whilst. Yeah. That's how they say it over there. It's an archaic word in the American English.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little, way before my time, but doesn't surprise me that you knew what it was.
I'm just a Renaissance International man.
Yeah.
That's what it is.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. So habits. I like it. I've got some new ones that I'm gonna pick up on. And John, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
And Brian, thank you for that as well.
You were certainly welcome. Lunting. Yeah. So John, I have a question.
Yeah.
The premise of this podcast is passing on the wisdom of the ages, right?
Mm.
So the been there, done that wisdom.
Mm-hmm.
And you can certainly keep your economic development hat on still, or you can take that off and share some personal experiences. But my question is, having that in mind and wanting to share that knowledge with our listeners, what couple of key things would you put out there that you would consider wisdom of the ages and want to share?
That was a great question, Bryant. That was awesome.
Well, I'll go with two angles. The personal side is, I believe that we all need to listen to each other and respect each other. We may disagree. Do it respectfully, right? Don't be afraid to share your opinions and beliefs, but respect that everyone has their own opinion and beliefs based on their own life and where they're from and everything else, right? So I try to, live that way, and that, because I've seen when that doesn't happen, as far as life, wisdom of the ages, right? It just adds conflict, right? And I personally don't like conflict.
Right.
Some people do, I guess. But, at the end of the day, there can be, disagreement. That doesn't necessarily need to be conflict. So it's just respect is a key thing for me, right? And putting my economic development hat on, or community economic development hat, is related to that, because you really need to listen to everyone in the group that you're serving, community, let's say. Community can be defined a lot of ways, and you need to listen to everyone's input and respect the fact that it may be different than what you're thinking, right? And the thing about community economic is that word community, right? It's the root, COMM, is about commonality, right? It's about getting to everyone to agree to something, right? Together, commune, right? Community.
Right. Yep.
But you can't do that without respect, and you can't do that without listening, and respecting the fact that we may not be able to get exactly what you're looking for, but we've got to kind of find that middle place. You can only do that through listening and respect.
Nice. I like it. Great answer. Can't talk about respect enough. That's a theme that's come up many times in conversations that Kevin and I have had on this podcast.
Yeah. That's respect is such a big one, and but also just not so long ago, I keep coming back to these, Brian. I'm sorry about this, but it just tells you how much value there is. We did a podcast on Thomas Jefferson's canons of conduct. Mm-hmm. He has 12 canons of conduct, and it's just basically rules for life.
Sure.
And one of them is what you just said, which is think as you wish, and so let others, and you will have no conflict. Right. That's number 11 on his canons of conduct, and I've said that like every podcast since we did it now.
Yeah, pretty much. But it's good, you know. I mean, it's repetition, and it's, you know, we had the conversation before we started recording today, and that came up again because they're just so applicable.
And in today's crazy day and age where everybody is just throwing hand grenades at each other instead of talking it out and being respectful,
right?
The respect is, in many respects, there you go, is gone.
Yeah,
it's gone. There is no respect. It's horrible. So appreciate you saying that.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's how I've gotten to where I have, right?
Okay.
And again, when you're trying to get community goals, because all those goals individually aren't the same, right? You've got to have that respect for everybody's goals and wishes and desires, and that comes with really listening and understanding where they're coming from, right?
Yeah.
End of the day, the community or the people that represent the community say, here's what we want, right? Here's our plan and goals, objectives, etc. But it has to come together as a group, right? So it's an interesting. It's what's the whole thing about making sausage, right? It's a difficult thing to do, but you have to do it with respect.
I like it. Make sausage with respect. There we go.
There we go.
There's a word picture for you. Okay.
Yeah.
This has been fun, Brian.
Yes,
I've enjoyed
it has.
this. Yeah.
I appreciate it. Yeah, no, I appreciate it. It's been fun to share some of these thoughts, and I hope your listeners or viewers appreciate it, and be glad to do it again or try something different.
You betcha.
That's creativity, right? If you don't, I'm enjoying it.
Yeah.
We should stop sooner or later, but we'll stop, like I was saying earlier. But you put yourself out there and you try things, and you hopefully do good for yourself and for others.
And we thank you for stepping into our arena very much, the arena of the graybeards, and slugging it out with us. Because every time we do this, and this is now our 106th.
Yeah, 106th. And we realize you're not sporting a gray beard, but as you commented on earlier, if you let it grow out, it would expose itself.
It would be all patchy and everything else, but yeah. No,
but it would be gray. There you go.
Yeah.
I'll go there, but as I was saying, I won't go there.
No.
This is a G-rated podcast tonight.
Tonight.
Not always that way, but tonight.
Thank you, guys. I've enjoyed it. I hope your listeners have, and I wish you the best in episode 107, 108, and everyone after that.
And beyond.
Yeah.
Yeah, we keep getting better and better at all of this, and the audience is growing, and we appreciate it.
You were sharing me earlier that your first few were rough.
Whew.
Yeah.
So like you were saying, you just learn and get better as you do things.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, we talked about that at the event last week when we were celebrating our 2nd year anniversary. How we would sit here and have these conversations and just be able to talk up a storm. Have no problem at all. And as soon as we hit the record button and had to talk into the microphone, it's like we just forgot how to speak.
Yeah.
And again, occasionally we still stumble over our words because we, sometimes the brain and the mouth aren't working at the same speed, and you get a little, sidetracked there. But
it's a good way to say it.
Absolutely. One last bit of advice from the stage.
Yeah, lay it on us.
Is when you are speaking publicly, or maybe in an environment like this, and I'm doing it right now, but you probably didn't notice it, is enunciate the last consonant of each word. It slows you down. Plus, it makes you pronounce the word accurately. But the first thing it does, it slows down your talking.
Interesting.
Oh, wait. You just freaking threw me for a loop on that one. Enunciate. First of all, I got to understand.
The last consonant of the word. Word. Yeah.
I mean, you don't have to overdo it, but
right.
what it does, and I'm doing it now in my head, is it makes you slow down. And like a TED Talk, you can also then take that pause and then talk again.
Yeah, that's kind of cool. I
TED
like it.
Talk.
Right.
Hi,
our podcast
John.
recording length of time just went from 45 minutes to an hour and a half, because I'll be like, Kevin, come on. Seriously, can you just talk faster?
I will talk by doing this technique much more frequently I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Brian. I brought this up. Who is this guy over here? I'm going to move over here.
No, you should probably not move closer.
Oh,
Yeah. No.
all right. That was good. I get your point.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I think that is a valid point.
Point.
Yeah, point.
Thank you.
I just
Right.
whatever. Let's just talk fast.
Yeah. All right.
Go for it. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for helping us
Absolutely.
pass along some wisdom of the
Yes,
ages.
enjoyed it.
Thank
And
you. I did too.
definitely have to have you back again and talk some more. And yeah, I
look forward to it.
I think I think we've only scratched the surface of the information that you could share with folks. I think there's a lot more up there and in here that can help people in their desire to have a happier and more fulfilled life. I think we didn't even open that door really.
Well, I feel honored that you guys asked me that. So thank you.
Yeah, and thanks for all you're doing for this local community. It's things are happening. We just barely scratched the surface, but all the visionary things that you are engaged in are awesome, and we
thank you.
appreciate it. Yeah,
Thank you.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and I got to throw this out there.
All right.
So if you're watching this and you haven't hit that subscribe button, make sure you do that. And I appreciate you listening through to the very end of this. And you may notice, I'm calling myself out here, that there was some variation in audio quality throughout the podcast. And I'm circling back on the whole habits thing, right?
Yeah. I noticed, by the way.
Yeah, you're always microphone number 2.
Right.
I'm number 1. And I jacked that up because I used a longer cord to get to where you're at tonight. And so you were on number 3, and I was trying to turn John's volume up, and I was turning your volume up instead. And so if you notice at some point where John's volume gets a little higher and I turned Kevin's down, that's what happened. Habits.
There you go.
Yeah.
That's it.
Sometimes they're good, sometimes they're bad. Either way, subconsciously they'll kick in.
Absolutely.
So train yourself the way you want to perform. And
Turning Kevin's volume down may not be a bad thing.
well, no, I wasn't even gonna go there. But since you mentioned it, no, he's always got great things to contribute.
kidding.
But yeah, I was like, man, I'm watching the meters and it's just not having the effect that it's supposed to be having. And then it hit me. Wait a minute. Yeah, that one goes. Oh,
Yeah,
Damn.
I kept getting louder and louder in my own ears because when you're turning me up, I'm hearing me louder. I'm like, dude, I'm gonna have to like.
What are you doing, man?
Are you
Could you-
trying to
could
tell
you
me
stop?
something? You trying to tell me something here?
Yeah, so that's what it was. But I got it figured out. I don't think it's gonna be horrible, but this could have been take 1. We'll see.
That's right. That's right.
All right, so we were ready to close this thing out.
We're ready.
All right, it's this button, right?
I think that's
So we
it.
push that button, and then I say something like, no matter who you are, where you are, or what you're doing, make sure between this podcast and the next, you take time to enjoy the ride.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Graybeard Chronicles. Please subscribe so you'll receive notification when new episodes are available. To learn more about the Graybeards, visit their website, graybeardchronicles.com.